Yeah, so the particular aspects about the firm, just to highlight at the start, is that Beale Co is a international sort of specialist law firm. We specialise in construction, engineering, infrastructure and insurance matters, and we have offices in London, Bristol, Dublin, Dubai, Glasgow and Toronto. I always think it's good to have a longer term goal and an idea of where you want to get to, even if the road to that objective goes, you maybe don't have that entirely clear in your head at the start. So yes, it was always my goal to become a partner. Maybe don't do what I did do though and announce that to who is our now senior partner the first week into my training contract, which I don't think was necessarily the best thing to do. It was meant in a nice way, but perhaps wasn't taken that way. So the way the work differs as a partner as opposed to when I was a senior associate, I think it's maybe the way to answer that is kind of, I suppose, maybe the mistakes I made as a new partner, because I think probably one of the biggest things that new partners do is sort of relinquishing that control of the day-to-day heavy lifting, I suppose, and sort of understanding that your role has changed. And this is obviously the work on the files. The day-to-day work on the files has changed, and I think you need a much more bigger picture thinking around it, and I think sort of trusting the guys in the team to to fulfil their roles is really important. And I think there's a transitional period where I think all new partners get that wrong and probably irritate all the senior associates that are working with them on the files. Then I suppose the other sort of big part of how the role changes is that there is a much sort of greater emphasis, and this sounds a bit strange of saying this as a lawyer, of the part of the job that isn't actually necessarily giving the legal advice. So it's building networks, making sure you've got that sort of pipeline of new work coming through, constantly doing your business development, even though you're busy on the day-to-day work on the file, so that pipeline of work is there. And then I suppose also it's that mindset of a law firm is ultimately a business, and you're running a business, so having that sort of business acumen is also important. I think those sorts of things definitely come more into it as you make that step up from senior associate to partner. So my area of expertise is construction disputes, and it's amazing how I suppose specialist and niche you get even in that area. So I would say that the bulk of my work is defending claims against contractors and design professionals. The most challenging aspects and the most rewarding aspects of life as a lawyer, without I suppose trying to duck the first part in terms of challenges, I think the job is challenging, but I think it's, for most of us who do it for a prolonged period of time, they're challenges that you enjoy. So I think there's no single challenge that I can think of that stands out to me. I mean, the job is challenging, but that's the reason I think a lot of us do it, because we enjoy those challenges. I think the most rewarding part for me though is easy to sort of answer, and there's probably two elements to it. It's on the client-facing side. It's those disputes where the result is of fundamental importance to the survival of the client business that you're acting for, and being able to bring a matter to a conclusion that enables that business to survive. I think that's hugely rewarding, and seeing the relief on the client's faces that ordeal is behind them. So I find that helping them to get to that point, I find incredibly rewarding. And I think on the internal sort of inward looking side of it, especially in my role as kind of the training partner, is seeing the progression of people you recruit as trainees, seeing them develop. We haven't yet had someone who I've seen come through from trainee stage to partnership, but we've got plenty who are now at senior associate level. So sort of seeing how they develop, I find hugely rewarding as well. But I think the skills and strengths you need to be a successful partner, I'd say you have to have a good work ethic. I think I'd be lying to people who want to get into the profession to say that it's not hard work. It is. So you've got to have a good work ethic. You've got to be resilient, because there are times when things don't go your way. You've got to sometimes deliver bad news to clients. Clients can react a certain way to that. Cases don't go your way. You can't win everything. It's one of those sort of famous sayings in life. You need to be able to listen, I think, is a hugely overlooked skill sometimes. Listen to what your clients are saying to you. Listen to what the other side, the other lawyers involved in the dispute are saying to you. Listen to your colleagues, because just because you have the partner badge, you don't always necessarily make the right calls. So listening to your teammates and what they have to say and their voice, I think, is really important. And I think being enthusiastic about the job. I think clients really feed off that. They want to see that the lawyers acting for them have enthusiasm there. They buy into the issues that the clients face, but also I think the junior members of the team, especially from a partner figurehead, they want to see that enthusiasm from the partner as well. So I think advice I'd have for aspiring partners and the things that sort of Beale Co looks for in partners. I think it probably builds on what I said to one of the previous questions. So you have to be technically good. So obviously the service we sell as lawyers is legal services. So it goes, it's a given really that you have to be strong technically, and that's something obviously that you develop as your career progresses. But it's also having the ability to win work. Our sort of current trainees, they probably get sick of me saying this, but I have a sort of a thing I say to them when they join about, you've got to be technically strong, and that's something that will help our trainees to develop over time. But everyone kind of thinks that's what being a lawyer is about. But unless you're going to be an academic, you can almost be the best lawyer in the world. But if you don't have any clients, you're wasting your skills. So you have to have the ability to win work, build a network, have a pipeline of work, as I was saying earlier. And I think also as you step into partnership, it's having that understanding that you're running a business. As a partner, you're a leader of that business, and ultimately you are responsible for that business being successful and ultimately the people getting paid every month. So I think that's a huge responsibility that sits on a partner's shoulders. So I think it's those sorts of things that we're really looking for people to sort of have an understanding of, those sort of three component parts. Describing Beale Co in 3 words, I would say hardworking, fun, honest. The most important thing a candidate researching Beale Co, what should they do? Have an understanding of the firm, I suppose, is the best way to frame that. So, but I think that can go beyond the obvious. All candidates will have had a look on the website about what we do. They'll understand, our internal sort of infrastructure, where we have offices, the types of work we do. But I think that's a given, and I think that's really important. What I'm seeing a lot more sort of candidates do now, which I think is a sort of a fascinating sort of development in it, is actually using LinkedIn to make contact with people within the firm. I think that's a great thing, and I really sort of like that. I think it shows a lot of initiative, but they're doing that to try and find out more around the kind of the culture of the firm. I think it's the world we live in now, but gone are the days when I was a trainee, the interview was very much a one-way process. It was, I was applying for a training contract, and I had to sort of demonstrate to Beale Co, as it happens, that I deserved a training contract with them. I think candidates now, it's so much more of a two-way process. They are almost as much interviewing us as we're interviewing them. They're trying to find out about us. Is this the place that they want to do their training, as opposed to sort of, us looking at them and saying, do you deserve a training contract? So I think that's a really interesting sort of development that I've seen over the last few years, with candidates really trying to find out about the culture of the firm as well, which I think is a great thing. But what's my favourite desert island disc? Disc in the singular. And this is where I suppose it gets difficult, because it drives my wife crazy, but I have a very odd taste in music, and it really depends on what mood I'm in. So it can literally, I like everything. If I'm sort of in the gym, heavy metal, which is not everyone's cup of tea. So you might hear some, Metallica or Pantera playing, to drum and bass. I love drum and bass and garage. I love hip hop. But at the moment, if I had to take one, it's probably the album I'm listening to at the moment, which is a new album by a band from Dublin called Somebody's Child. And it's their new album called When Youth Fades Away, I think. I suppose actually that's quite fitting, isn't it? My youth's faded away whilst I've been at Beale Co. So I started as a 23-year-old in 2005, and now I'm 43 in 2025. So there you go.